Hey everybody, hope you had a great weekend. We are back at it. The market is open now, and we're going to check out what's going on. First off, we're going to look at TradingView's heat map, just see what the overall market's doing. It's definitely a quite red day. I think a great buying opportunity. And we're also going to go over to TradingView and just look at some individual stocks. And we're going to look at Bitcoin, what it's doing. We are at a critical point right now. So if you don't mind hitting the like, subscribe, ringing the notification bell, let's get right into it. Now hopping over to TradingView's heat map, you'll see that, across the board, it's a sea of red. We do have a couple of green outliers, but tech is definitely down pretty heavy. Everything with even an ounce of risk is selling off, and it's the same deal for small caps. I'm going to look over a couple here in a second, but first off, we're going to look at Bitcoin and what I think is going to happen here in just a few hours. Now here we are looking at Bitcoin on the chart. You'll see we have been in an uptrend since the beginning of this month, but we are about to possibly break this level, and if we do break this upward trend line, we're also likely going to break 20,000. It's very likely that both will happen near the same time. There's always that possibility that we do bounce off of it and we just bounce over 20,000, bounce right where we're at. But I do think a break of this trend line will push us under 20,000, and if we can hold up over this trend line, we may push to our previous highs. We did break some recent highs and create some new ones recently, and we have been consistently hitting higher lows. Now just looking at this pattern here, we get this kind of drop, a little stair-stepping action here, stair-stepping action. I think we're going to come down, do it again, and then maybe push farther. I'm not trying to time the bottom, but it is very possible that if we do break this trend line, and if we do break this 17,600, we do push further. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if it's going to come down to these levels, but you definitely have to consider that scenario. Make sure you've got some cash on the side and just stay the course. In the end, this happens every time. We have this crypto winter. When you get closer to that halving, we get that hype, and then after that halving, we continue to run. Come to crypto winter in the middle point, which is right where we're at. We're at that middle point in between the halving. Crypto's typical cycle is all going according to plan. Now, if we fall down further, that's up for debate. All I know is it's a great buy now, in my opinion, if you're looking long term. Alright, now that was Bitcoin on the chart. Let me show you a couple of stocks that I've been watching lately, and for the most part, the upward trend is continuing. Now, first off, we're looking at Apple stock. I personally am keeping an eye on Apple. I don't own any yet, but ever since the middle of June, we have been consistently creating higher lows and higher highs. And looking at this blue line here, we did just break out of a downtrend that started in March. I'm going to be watching Apple. I honestly would want to pick it somewhere in the low 130s, but yeah, large cap tech, still keeping an eye on it. The majority of things I'm buying into are still small caps with a few outliers. And one such outlier is going to be PayPal. I think it's a great time to add. And this one did recently hit a low, the 30th of June. It was all the way down to $67. We have been slowly uptrending. However, zooming out on a larger scale time frame, we've been in a downtrend since March. Very similar to Apple's chart. This one just hasn't broken out of it yet. I would keep an eye on PayPal and watch for a breakout. If you're long term on this, I personally think it's a great time to add to, and I do have a small position in PayPal. Next up, it goes without saying that I love CleanSpark, and I wanted to let you guys know that it is currently breaking out of a downward wedge. Now, if you're not in this one yet, I recommend you be careful. It has been consistently creating lower lows and lower highs, and our recent lowest point was actually the 5th of July. Now, looking long term, I absolutely love CleanSpark. They're continuing to expand. We actually have some recent Lancium news, and I will give you guys a dedicated CleanSpark video soon, so make sure you stick around. Now, another stock that I have very high conviction in, Indie Semiconductors, and I actually recently did a video about this one. I'm extremely bullish on this. They gave earnings. We had that low point, that May 11, May 12 Max Fear Day. Earnings came out, went pretty damn well, gapped up, just went on a run. We did form a nice head and shoulders, and you'll see we're back at our base. We have since hit our base, ran up a little bit since the beginning of July, but it did not create a new low from that May 11th, May 12th Max Fear Day. I absolutely love Indie, and long term, I think this is an absolute steal to get into at its current price. Next up is going to be ChargePoint. You'll see a common theme just similar to Indie. We didn't break our May 11, May 12 Max Fear, and different from Indie, this one actually didn't come anywhere near that after it hit, that 850. So ChargePoint went on an uptrend ever since hitting that Max Fear 11 May 12th, and it really hasn't even tested that area since. It has tried to hold up a support right around the 1170 area, right around 12, and we're right around there now. Looking at the RSI, it's relatively oversold. It could go a little more. Looking at the MACD, I think it's due to curl around very soon. And just looking at the chart, it is at a pretty good support level. If it does break this, very likely we fall further. But I really personally don't expect ChargePoint to come too far under $12. Their earnings is coming soon. and I really expect big things for it. And they may have their first quarter where revenue breaks over $100 million. But definitely love ChargePoint for the long term. Their revenue has been consistently growing. They're expanding through Europe. Definitely a big picks and shovel play for the EV sector. Alright, rolling along, I also wanted to mention NIO. This is in an uptrend still. Despite coming down a little bit, having trouble breaking from that 25, I want to see it break 25 to push further. But we are hanging right around this $20 area. Now, if we don't move soon, just by hanging in this area over the next couple days, we are going to likely break this trend line, and that may cause it to push further down, break that $20 level, that psychological support, and fall further. However, this might not happen. It may just bounce off this trend and continue upwards. Regardless of what it does with this trend, I think NIO is a great time to add. And looking long term, they do expect profitability by late 2023, I believe, early 2024. If I remember right from the earnings call. It has been a while since. Definitely love NIO for the long term, and this is one Chinese stock that I do own. The only one, actually. Alright, now I did want to mention Matterport. Haven't talked about this one lately. I've been just kind of avoiding it. It has been in a clear downtrend, but recently it did just break out of it. However, we'll see where it goes. I mean, it kind of seems like a double top here. I'm not all that impressed with this breakout. But looking at Matterport long term, I do like it at this price. But while we're in this bearish market, stocks like Matterport are very likely to continue suffering. But there will be a point where we get out of this bear market and Matterport absolutely flies. And I do think it's a great time to add to it. And finally, I wanted to mention Workhorse really quick, WKHS. I just did a recent video on them, and I actually covered Green Power's earnings because they do mention Workhorse quite a few times in that one. And there are some interesting insights in it, so I'll leave you guys a link below to that if you want to watch it. But looking at Workhorse, we have been in a beautiful uptrend ever since that May 11th, May 12th max fear. You see a common theme with a lot of these small caps is they did reach a low point, and a lot of them haven't broken it unless it's a crypto stock such as CleanSpark. But definitely love Workhorse at this price, and I honestly have a lot of faith in management. And if you do your DD, if you really dig deep into them, you'll see that Rick Dock, the CEO of Workhorse, has a lot of ties and a lot of connections in some important places. His dad was actually the founder of American Transaxle, I believe, or American Axle Manufacturing, something like that. And we should be getting some news very soon about deliveries. That's all I got for you today, guys. What stocks are you currently looking out for in the market? Make sure you let me know down below, and take it easy.